Hey Math 6 students, welcome to your summative. In the summative, we're going to take all of the instruction from this unit and see how well you're doing on it. Hopefully the review over the past few days have been helpful to remind you of some of those things. So I'm going to give you some important instructions about your summative before you begin. But first, just so you know, you have 2 days to work on this summative. We would encourage you to at least get started on the first day. You could work on half of it the first day, other half the second day, or you could finish it all on the first day. That might be helpful. But letting you know you do have 2 days to work on this summative. So as you go through your summative, a couple things to take note of. First of all, on each question, you'll see this little gray button. We have included audio instructions for every question. So if you're going through each question, you can click on that and you'll hear us read the questions out loud. That way it can remind you of what it says and what the instructions are. So on the first slide, you'll notice for questions 1 and 2, you'll need to write the word sentence as an equation. You don't need to solve it, you're just showing what it would look like as an equation. Looking for keywords to use to show you what operations would be performing. And remember that the word is can be a really helpful keyword too. For number 2, this is where you're actually solving the equation to find out what the variable would equal or what the value of the variable is. So be sure to do that for number 2. For number 3, you're going to be reading or listening to an example of a equation, and then you're going to tell what the independent variable and the dependent variable would be. You're not having to solve the equation, just write what the independent and dependent variables are. For number 4, this is where you're going to take that word sentence and write it as an inequality. Remember, inequalities don't have something equal to something else. They will either have a greater than, a less than, or maybe greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to sign with them. So for these, you'll read or listen to these word sentences and then type your answer as an inequality for number 4. For question 5, you are going to then solve these inequalities to tell what W would be less than or greater than, or what N would be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And then you are going to graph those as well. For number 6, we have a little bit of a word problem there. That's an inequality. What you'll need to do is not solve anything, but just to write an inequality that would show the amount of people that a cruise ship can hold. And then that brings us to the second kind of portion of our summative. And on this portion, we're looking for how well you can solve patterns. So we are going to grade this second portion on criterion B because it's all about finding patterns. So for questions 7 and 8, you'll have a problem that relates to a cheese pizza that costs $5. And then every topping above that adds a cost of $2 each. So you'll want to complete the chart to represent the total cost of the pizza. Notice we've got the number of toppings here. You'll need to write an equation for the total number of toppings and then solve for the cost of pizza for if it was just 1 topping, if it was 6 toppings. And then on part 8, you'll actually graph that information that you did from number 7. You'll plot it on the graph here. Notice we've included these little colored dots up here for you to use well, so you can drag and drop if you want to do that. And then lastly, questions 9 and 10. You'll need to look back at your graph from the previous question, but this is a little bit of a reflection, and this is a really important part of showing that you can understand patterns related to graphs as well. So this is going to be an important part of your grade. So based upon the information of your graph, you're going to want to make a prediction on what the cost would be for a pizza that includes 7 toppings. And then on part 10, be sure that you really give an explanation for how you would know that or why you made that prediction. So make sure that you document your thinking with that. All right, go ahead and get started, and don't forget to listen to those audio clips if you need to.